Friday edition of New York, New York. Yours truly, Jastremski, rocking and rolling, going into the middle of the month where we have a Subway Series that will take center stage. The Knicks will wait. Maybe it's Sunday. Maybe it's Tuesday to kick off game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, I have some thoughts on who their opponent might be. Yes, we're going to have a really fun conversation with Stephen Bondi coming up in a little bit. But I got to say, I'm really happy about the fact that the Knicks obviously took care of business, embarrassed the Philadelphia 76ers, and now have had this week to kind of bask in the glory of everything that's going right with their franchise. And it allows, to me, a signature New York event not to be overshadowed, at the very least, on Friday and on Saturday. And it's pretty wild. Despite the first 5+ weeks of this baseball season, which was dominated by the Yankees and an absolute shit show by the Mets, going into this Subway Series, week and a half ago, didn't have them on my bingo card. The Mets would be hot and the Yankees would be ice cold. Didn't expect that to be the case. But the Mets are hot. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They swept the Detroit Tigers. Tuesday, dominant win. Wednesday, exciting walk-off win. Thursday, come from behind win that ends up being a laugher. The storyline for the Mets is simple. The infusion of youth has given this team a much-needed spark. And I was very surprised they called up A.J. Ewing just because he had absolutely no experience in AAA. But the Mets are desperate. Hey, listen, it's okay to admit desperation. It's okay to admit it. You don't have to run and hide from it. When you fall behind double-digit games under 500 and you dig yourself the hole that the Mets dug themselves here this season, you can act out of desperation. And I think that's what David Stearns and the Mets decided to do on Monday. They said, look, hey, we are not getting anything out of the bottom of the order. A.J. Ewing is playing with some spunk. He's red hot. He's hitting in AA. He's hitting in AAA. Let's call him up, and let's see if he can spark our baseball team. He's done exactly that. He's taking pitches. He's running the bases. On Thursday, he gets the Mets going with his first home run. I know this phrase gets overused and thrown out a lot. He looks like he belongs. And in some cases, we've used that statement and it's held true. In other instances, guys who looked like they belong all of a sudden didn't look like they belong. So I'm going to be careful here in all of a sudden evaluating and grading A.J. Ewing and saying, hey, this is it. He's never getting sent down to the minor leagues. I don't want to put that kibosh on him. But I love what I see. And I think he's been the biggest part of kind of giving you the infusion that the Mets desperately, and I mean desperately, needed. You had a scare on Wednesday with Soto. He comes back and plays on Thursday. He hit a home run when they were up 4 runs in the game. I don't give a rat's ass about that. The 2-out hit in the 5th inning that gave you the lead is the sort of hit that has been lacking from Soto this year. And despite the big numbers that he put up last year, it was lacking from Soto then. I think that's a great, great sign. Hey, with all of the injuries the Mets have going, between Lindor, heard the timetable from Mendoza, don't expect him anytime soon, Polanco, Robert. Now you can add Francisco Alvarez to that mix with the meniscus, and he's going to be out for a while. The last thing the Mets need is to have an extended absence for Juan Soto. Thankfully, as you get ready for the Subway Series games, Juan Soto will be in your lineup. So what's solidified for the Mets? They were better offensively over these last 3 games. Encouraging. Their bullpen, which was getting beat up a little bit. Williams, Weaver, they've stabilized. And the rotation is in a pretty solid spot. Holmes, who you're going to see on Friday night, has been amazing. Peralta, I thought on Tuesday, the idea that he was able to go deeper into the ball game when it looked like he was going to be out of the game in the third inning, I think is a great, great sign for the Mets. And McClain, who got better as this game went along on Thursday. That's like your hope. People keep asking me, how did the Mets turn their season around? Well, keep it simple, stupid. Keep winning series. That's where it starts. You can't make up the amount of ground in a snap of a finger, but you've rattled off 7 out of 10. Can you go rattle off 15 out of 21, 16 out of 23 to kind of get you back on track? Hey, we saw the Phillies do it, and now they're right around that 500 mark. That's got to be the goal for the Mets. Get to that 500 mark. And it's why I'm going to answer a question a certain way when it comes to the Subway Series that might surprise some people. Might. Because the Yankees, who we'll get to in a minute, have some problems that have all of a sudden popped up, and popped up in a big way. There is still way more pressure and way more of a need to go win the series if you're the Mets. Why? Because the Yankees have themselves a cushion. Not with Tampa, but they have a cushion with the rest of the American League. The Mets don't. That's why Juan Soto had to be in the lineup on Thursday. That's why the Mets need to go and finish off series. And they can't just be content, hey, we won 2. We're going to punt the third game of the series. No. Balls to the wall. To get yourself back in a position to be in position. So, yeah, despite the records, that's exactly the point. Despite the records. One record is still subpar. The other record is not. Mets need to keep winning games. And that's why there's more pressure on them this weekend. When it will be Schlittler and Holmes on Friday, it'll be Rodon and the Peterson situation with the opener on Saturday, and it's going to be Ryan Weathers and Freddie Peralta on Sunday. Now, despite the fact that I think this series is more important for the Mets, and it is. There's a little trouble in Yankee paradise. We have hit our first major blip of bad play in this 2026 season. And you've noticed a couple of things here. One, you light the candle for positive news on Max Fried. And Max Fried has not been great his last couple of starts. He's getting touched up on Wednesday afternoon against the Orioles. And when you see Paul Blackburn warming up in the bullpen, you know right then and there, Fried's coming out of the game. And when I hear elbow, I'm like, oh, geez. Have we seen the last of Max Fried for 2026? Yeah, that thought went through my mind. Hearing Aaron Boone, hearing Max Fried kind of put me at ease a little bit. Doesn't seem like it's a Tommy John flexor. It's the other part of the elbow, not to get all doctor on you. Think the gist of his Fried's going to miss some time. And it's amazing. You know, we spend all this time saying, oh, when Cole comes back, when Rodon comes back, well, what's going to happen with Weathers? Well, JJ, what's going to happen with Will Warren? These sort of things usually work themselves out. Do they not? So Fried's going to be on the shelf. Those guys are going to be able to continue to pitch even when Garrett Cole comes back into the fold. Because there'll be a need for another starter. So, no Fried. Problem for the Yankees. I'll give you another problem. Our guy Caballero is not in the lineup. And you know what that means. It means we got to watch Anthony Volpe. And I know some of you can't let go. You can't let go of the hyped prospect status. You can't let go of the New Jersey storyline. You can't let go of the fact that he idolized Derek Jeter. And, oh, by the way, you can't let go of the fact that he is an Italian. Like, there are still a few card-carrying members holding out hope that Anthony Volpe can be salvaged as a New York Yankee. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I can't wait for the next 8 days to come and go and have Anthony Volpe in the minor leagues and hopefully out of the Yankee organization as soon as freaking possible. I've had it. I got it. Last year pushed me to a point of no return. Of course, Volpe comes back. He picked up right where he left off in Game 4 of the division series. You know, he comes up, a couple runners on base. What do you know? Strikes out. Comes into the field, commits an E6. He needs to change the scenery. The Yankees have to cut bait. And I am so happy, though, they as an organization have realized, guess what? He's not our shortstop of the future. He's not our shortstop of the present. And when we had Brian Cashman on, he expressed that with Caballero. You've heard Aaron Boone multiple times say, hey, when Caballero comes back, he is our shortstop. Good. That's the right way to answer it. It shows you this evolution within the Yankee organization, I think, is super, super key for the rest of this year. And tough luck for Anthony Volpe. There's nothing he can do in these next 8 games that should change anybody's opinion. Nothing. But without Caballero, you got to see him in the lineup. I can pick on Volpe. It's low-hanging fruit. It's easy. But guess what? I'm going to do it. And if you got a problem with me doing it, you go watch him play shortstop. It's not easy on the eyes. You know what hasn't been easy on the eyes? Yankee lineup. There's a lot of dead weight at the moment. From a standpoint of 2 guys in particular. Jazz Chisholm, Austin Wells. When is Jazz Chisholm going to start hitting? Jazz Chisholm's in a contract year. Jazz Chisholm proclaimed at the beginning of this season, hey, I'm trying to go 50-50. That's my goal, 50-50. LOL. Not exactly on pace, Jazz. Forget about 50-50. The approach at the plate with runners on base is atrocious. It's atrocious. It's got to be better. If you're an opponent playing the New York Yankees, you want Jazz Chisholm up in big spots. He's swinging out of his shoes. He's flailing at pitches. He's trying to do entirely too much. And he's one of those guys that within this Yankee lineup, more is needed. Yankee lineup cannot just be a top 4 situation where, despite the ugly numbers, Trent Grisham is hitting a bad luck. He's hitting a bad luck. And I think you're going to see a market correction with Trent Grisham where he's going to go and have a 2 or 3 week stretch where he goes on a tear. Because I do believe a lot of hard hit balls, the advanced stats tell a different story to his numbers. Not worried about Grisham. Rice, Judge, and Bellinger is stupendous. I am worried about Chisholm. Because the advanced stats tell a much different tale for Jazz Chisholm than they do Trent Grisham. They're not encouraged by Jazz. Neither am I. And then you have Wells, who is just not giving you any production at that catcher spot. And last year, the hope was he could turn into an all-star catcher. It's amazing. Both catchers had a lot of hype. Alvarez and Wells for different reasons. Both of them are failing miserably. Between injuries, underperformance, not doing the job. Frustrating. And the Yankees trying to kind of hold it together offensively until Stanton comes back, until Caballero comes back. Figure out what's going on with Fried. And they're going to have to figure out some answers in this bullpen, which kind of did the best they could for the first month or so of this year. But they're an arm or two short. We all know it. They'll change by the end of the year, but they're an arm or two short. So this was not a great week for the Yankees. It's been sunshine and lollipops since opening day. Now the Yankees going into the Subway Series, a little pressure on them. Still more pressure on the Mets. It's still a more important series for the Mets. But if you're a Yankee fan, you go and play poorly this weekend. That angst is only going to build that much more. And my take on the series, I think the Mets are going to win 2 out of 3. I do. Baseball's weird. I know Cam Schlittler's been unhittable. Everything about the matchup would say that Cam Schlittler is going to go and absolutely dominate the New York Mets. Hey, he dominated the Milwaukee Brewers and the Yankees lost on Saturday. And Clay Holmes has been up to the challenge this year. First time you're going to see Clay Holmes going up against his old team. Just baseball. Sometimes it's that simple, stupid. Roster would tell you Yankees. Record would tell you Yankees. I think the Mets found something over these last couple of games. Hope I'm dead wrong on this. But I think they're going to go and win 2 out of 3. So that's the story as far as the Subway Series. Soto is back. Not as much sizzle with Soto going to Citi Field to play these games. A lot more sizzle when Juan Soto returns to Yankee Stadium. But you're going to see a lot of former Yankees wearing the Met uniform. You're going to see Luke Weaver and Devin Williams potentially in late inning situations against their old team. And, I mean, who's dying for a big spot with Anthony Volpe up against Luke Weaver? Can Aaron Boone send up Paul Goldschmidt immediately, please? Can he please do that? One can only hope.